does, and I'll tell you, LBC, this I think there needs to be a serious, and I know, and I'm not. This is not whining about the refs. I think that there is a serious CEO level leadership problem. I honestly think Coleman, who runs the Pac-12 refs, who John Wilner had pointed out years ago, actually is unqualified for the job. Like, he literally does not meet the base qualifications that any Power 5 conference has for that job. The man is unqualified for that job and should not be employed by the Pac-12 in that role. Needs to be fired. And I actually think it goes higher. Merton Hanks, who is the head of football for the Pac-12, who has allowed the officiating to denigrate to this point of national mockery. Merton Hanks, you should not work for the Pac-12 anymore. I'm sorry. You know that's harsh.
I love your passion, and you're absolutely 100%. But you know what? These Utah fans that have been in the conference for 15 minutes, they're going to say, hey, we don't want to hear any more whining from USC fans. I've heard it all week on Twitter by these Utah geniuses. But, you know, hey.
Remember, we have to pay pity on the Utah people. They're exposed to BYU people. And I think that the whining and sobbing of BYU rubs off on them a little.
The refs,
they're good people.
It is what it is. It will always be that. Another reason to frickin' improve your game calling. And Lincoln Riley just didn't have the play calling for this game, and he didn't have it against Utah. Bottom line, he didn't.
Now, Rick, just let me throw this out at you.
Yeah,
is it the play calling, or is it again? As I'm even like reticent to call him a sophomore. You know what I mean? A guy that's probably like his 15th start, who's making great things happen. Here's the one thing about Caleb Williams: you don't ever want to put the bridle in too tight on a stallion. You know, you don't want to take that wild part out of him. You know what I mean? But I really wish he would check that damn ball down sometimes on second down and third down, especially.
Tim, it's not that. It's absolutely not that. What was Arizona against the run going in? Bad. So why are you even throwing long bombs on first down? Run the ball. You have Travis Dye and Austin Jones. You brought him to USC for a reason.
My issue with the defense, though. I mean, and here's the thing: the defense is dinged up. My issue is not with the offense. The offense got 621 yards. The offense, put up 45 points. And actually, we probably would have 48 and maybe even 51. Think about it. They should have a field goal at the end of the half, and I will explain that. And then also, they shanked a 39-yard field goal. So we can't blame the offense because that's 50. So we almost had like a 50 burger on them, 411 yards passing, 210 yards rushing for 621 yards. Now our defense gave up 543 yards. That's what got me heated.
Well, that's part of it, Tim. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you run the ball, you eat clock, you keep the defense off the field. Okay? This goes back to Utah. Everybody's complaining. And it was like, how come you couldn't make adjustments to stop Dalton Kincaid? Well, duh. Okay. Well, run the ball, eat clock. Your best defense is your offense. Okay? That was the lesson. You lost. You're going to go down the desert. Same thing was happening tonight. Could you see it or not? And then you kick an onside kick to boot? It's ridiculous. Run the ball.
On the onside kick, the reason why I did the onside kick was because there was I believe it was a personal foul or
it was a 15-yard penalty. So we were 15 yards.
So you get the ball at the 50, and then you're kicking your onside kick. So they're gonna get the ball around the 40-yard line. So realistically, that one I don't have that much of a push with, because let's face it, the way they're moving the ball, they're gonna get the ball from the 20 to 40 probably in one or two passes. So if you got a chance to get a steal one, in that case, I'm not too upset with it. I don't like the optics. It's like, we're going to kick it, we're going to stop you. But unfortunately, it does reek of desperation a bit when you say, well, our defense can't stop, anything.
Especially because we couldn't stop them. So, pushing them, even if we pushed them 20 yards back, even if we kicked the ball out of bounds and got in, I still think we would have been better off.
You're 100% right. This is a terrible rush defense we went up against. I'm not arguing with you at all. We should have ran the ball more. I agree. And early. I totally
agree. All right, guys. We have our first. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's a perfect example. It was in the fourth quarter. You're going to throw a low percentage pass on first down to Michael Jackson. Okay, Michael Jackson has barely played this whole year, and you're going to throw a 40-yard pass to Michael Jackson on first down? Come on. It's ridiculous. That's a low percentage pass. It's just the play calling really was ridiculous, in my opinion.
All right, guys, we got our first guest. Let's welcome Pac-12 fan Larry Pilgrim to the screen. Larry, welcome.
Hey, fellas, how are you doing tonight?
Good, thanks. Hey, first of all, congrats. We know Larry's a Utah grad. You guys looked good the other night. Survived the trip to the Palouse. USC survived the trip to the desert. What'd you think of what you saw tonight?
I agree with every single one of you. So LBC, Rick, they had so many nice 10-yard checkdowns. They should have took that, kept their offense on the field. Dye was just eating them alive. So I agree there. And then, like, Tim says, with all the injuries, it was hard to come out with the win. I thought USC was the better team. Arizona, I think, played their best game of the year. You got to give them a little bit of credit. I think they would have scored on just about anybody in the Pac-12. They played really great tonight.
Well, and Larry, Lincoln Riley said at the beginning of the week that he thought this Arizona team might be the best offense that they have gone up against all year. I thought it looked good.
Other than their offensive line, if their offensive line was a little better, I think they would be, if that makes sense. Because Delora was running for his life 2 seconds into the play.
It would have been nice if it would have been nice if while he was running for his life, we didn't let him get 15 yards every time. Just as a
you guys couldn't. Your contain was rather strange tonight, but I mean, without your, Utah, just not to bring them in, but that game we had with you guys, I mean, that took out all of our guys and it took out all of your guys. We were missing. We had to start our fourth running back. Backup QB, like we just killed each other in our game. So you guys you
really did.
You were decimated too. So I think USC was a better team for sure, but I can't disagree with Rick. I mean, the 5-10 yard game was there all night and Dye was eating them alive. So, I mean, Delora got to stay warm all game. USC, I agree, Rick. They try to go 25 plus yards too many times.
How many more one-handed Spider-Man catches do you need to see to know that the magic was happening in the desert? My God. Singer and McMillan, it's kind of like Kincaid all over. All right? They're making these crazy catches. Adjust your play calling to in-game and what is happening. And it didn't happen. And you lost in Utah, and you should have lost. We should have lost tonight. And the refs were trying to make it happen at the end of the first half. I don't know what the hell.
Oh, that was the other thing.
Larry, what did I do? Larry, what happened? Being a Utah fan, what happened there? You tell me.
So on that penalty, I don't think it's a penalty, but in all honesty, the refs consistently call that on any team. And so when they called it, I thought it was silly, but it's like, you know what? They call that on everybody. To me, the coaches need to do a better job. Once the ball's left that quarterback's hand, you better look like you're trying not to touch him. Don't get in anybody's face. Like the Pac-12 refs call that crap. No other conference calls it that tight.
Oh, no, wait, hold on. The roughing on Williams was absolutely roughing. I think what we're talking about is what Rick was talking about is the horrible clock. What happened to the clock there? So it should have stopped for a first down.
Gross ineptitude.
It should have stopped
at the half.
5 seconds left on the clock.
I don't know why they.
Hold on, there. I got you.
Yeah.
So 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
And they should have stopped the ball until the ball was set to play. Then you run the clock. Then you spike it. With 5 seconds left, there was plenty of time to do all of those things. Not only did they screw it up and the clock started before the ball was actually put into play, it expired before it was snapped, and then they let them run the damn play. I mean, it looked like a complete circus out there, but I guess that's nothing new for anyone. The Pac-12 realized
what it looked like was the ref was placing the ball and they started the clock before he got out of the way. That's what I saw. Because I'm going, they should be able to spike
Actually,
it.
Larry, no,
it literally started before it was placed down, Larry. If he wasn't over the ball, he had the ball in his hand still.
In his hand, behind the quarterback. He had his ball. He was not even to the line of scrimmage. The referee was walking with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want. They should have had a chance at a field goal because, I was looking at it and I couldn't see, and I got a big ass TV, and I'm like, what's going on? Why are they all standing there forever? And obviously, if that's what happened, they should have been able to get it. I couldn't quite see, and I didn't get to see a replay of it, but yeah, they should have had a field goal. I mean, luckily, 5 seconds. Yeah.
And luckily it didn't cost SC the game, which that would have really sucked. But it is still, again, just cannot wait to get away from these referees. I'm going to miss the Pac-12. I will not miss these refs.
You know what? You went on the road.
This is the same crew that we've seen appalling officiating from all year long.
Yeah, but you guys got out of there.
I don't want to dox them. I don't want to say names.
Yeah.
But these referees this particular crew is part of the problem, and it's why David Coleman and Merton Hanks should not work for the Pac-12 any longer.
I believe his name was Mike Merriweather. I think that's his name.
You know what? You guys got to take the high side here.
Oh no, Larry, I am taking the high side. I pretty much spelled it out. But that's what you also have to deal with is the Pac-12 refs, and you don't know when they're going to strike. People like to say, your Utah brethren have been in the Pac-12 for 15 minutes. We're complaining like, oh, you USC fans like to whine and that. No, just please. You haven't suffered enough. You've been here for 15 minutes and you think you know everything. And you know what? Just be happy. You beat USC. Take your victory and be proud. But don't act like this stuff doesn't happen every game. It does. And it's unacceptable if you want to be considered a good conference that should, right now the conference is playing great. What do you think the rest of the conferences are doing right now? They're laughing at us. All right.
Well, who were the refs in the Texas-Alabama game?
It doesn't matter.
When Bryce Young can throw off his helmet in the end zone upside down and not get a safety.
You understand, Larry? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 is at level 2. All these other conferences are level 8. When you have ridiculous refs, okay, and every conference does, but it's just another reason to laugh at the Pac-12. Okay.
All right.
Bottom line.
There's bad officiating, and then there's just inept.
Yeah.
We got to remember, officiating a game is a really difficult thing to do. These guys are moving at full speed, hitting each other, stuff happens. But if you can't even place a ball down, start the clock at the right time, that's embarrassing.
Who's that on?
The fact that they didn't say stop, hold on, let's go to the booth and check the clock. That's what I'm missed about. It's okay to mess up. Why didn't they stop the game and go up to the booth? Because Arizona ran off the field, so then therefore we have to stop. I've seen teams pulled out of the locker room running. I remember. Do you guys remember how happy the Irish were when they thought the game was over in 2005? Just because they start walking towards the locker and the showers doesn't mean the game's over. It doesn't mean the half's over. If they had anybody of any talent watching and officiating that game, they would have blown the whistle, hold on, go to the booth, look at what happened, pull them back out, and played that down. And that's what I'm saying. Mistakes are one thing. Being inept, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, but who signaled the clock operator to start the clock?
Nobody did.
Okay, and who runs the clock?
Arizona.
They knew they had 5 seconds, Larry, right?
The referees knew.
5 seconds. That didn't just disappear in a split. You know what I mean? It was absurd.
That's what you're saying, Tim. They should have stopped it and said, "Why did you start the clock? Why did you guys start the clock?"
Pull everybody back, go into the booth, take a look at the clock, like normal, like what would have happened in the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and ACC. That Conference USA, American. That's gonna happen in every conference, but not the Pac-12.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I get it. There's they overcame it with injuries, with some questionable crap, and won. I mean, I get it. I'm not, just because we've only been in the conference 10 years, I'm not excusing them or saying it's not bad officiating. I'm just saying you went on the road, you were missing a bunch of your key guys. maybe had a couple of bad calls. You got out of there with a win. Smile, be happy, and I get it. Your team just played. So